Welcome to Let's Go Outside, a podcast bringing moms together to chat about the raw, unfiltered reality of doing the exploring we love after having kids. No matter your comfort level of adventuring with the little ones, this is a space to have honest conversations about the real struggles of getting out the door with the kiddos. I'm Danica, a mama living in a small mountain town who's totally obsessed with healthy food and taking my kids outside every single day. I professionally guided backpacking trips in the Canadian Rockies, and I'm certified as a Leave No Trace instructor. On the show, you'll hear real experiences from other moms, plus tips on gear, trail snacks, and the best practices in the wilderness. Whether it's hiking, camping, backpacking, skiing, or traveling the world you want to do more of, this is your place to learn, find encouragement, and strip away any comparison. Come embrace both motherhood and the outdoors. Stick around. This is your place. Welcome to the Outdoor Mom Club. Yay! So today I am having Jenice Smith on the podcast. I think I first connected with Jenice, truly on our ski trip to to Nelson, probably about 5 years ago. And then we have just been in and out of each other's lives and not in a weird way, but in a passing through town, connecting. And I have been so inspired when I talk to her and excited from her energy, and her kids are just a bit older than mine, and so getting to glean the information about canoe trips has been so helpful. She's done some amazing trips and a wealth of knowledge about the places to go, and so thank you for chatting, Jenice.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on, Danica. It's been such a joy to get to know you and to see your family, what you have been doing and inspiring us. And I know it's not easy with little ones, but you get outside all the time. And I just love what you inspire other people to do around town and inside the mountains and beyond.
That's so sweet. Thank you, Jenice. All of those, anytime someone says that to me, that's such a encouragement, because it is hard. I do feel that. So I'm thankful. Okay, I want to hear the inside scoop about your family, though, and about you. I want you to share about yourself, who's in your family, and how did you get into adventuring?
Yeah, my husband Jeff and we've lived in Crow's Nest Pass since 2005, and we moved here, affordable mountain living. We have some family here as well, and we haven't left. We are still here in the mountains, and we now have 2 kids, Jasper and Nora, 11 and 13, and this is our home. And now my parents have moved from the city, and they're living in the community as well. And I think my interest in being outside came from my parents. I'm an only child, and we were always outside. Now, my parents didn't always have the skills or the money or the ability to do what we wanted to do, and so we would learn along the way, learn by fire. And I think some of those lessons of learning how to backpack and what to carry, or we've taken a kayaking course and now we're going to do kayaking or paddling or whatever we were going to do, those lessons have shaped the way that we do things as a family, learning from my experiences with them. Just try. You want to do it? Okay, learn how to do it and just give it your best shot.
That's awesome. I love that. Could you share what your go-to sports are as a family?
Yeah, so I was thinking about what we do as a family and how that's transitioned. When Jeff and I, before kids, we were heading more the direction of mountaineering and climbing and backcountry skiing. And then we've had to really think, what can we do as a family, depending on the kids' age and their abilities and what we're comfortable with. And so we've really embraced things like paddling and rafting, And then in last year, we took our kids on our first backcountry ski trip to a ski hut. And right now it's still, I love to be on the water, and I'm looking forward to more opportunities, taking them out, experiencing the winter and backcountry skiing within our skill set and minimizing risk. But it's really just thinking what we can do at the time, and maybe we'll learn new skills, and just getting them outside, however that looks.
I love that. And that's,
Yeah.
I think what it looks like is different ages shifting and adapting to what we can do.
Yeah, and maybe some of those sports that we weren't drawn to right off the bat, it's opened up that door because we can go paddling, put everybody in a canoe. Now we're actually, this is our first year, this past summer, where we were in two different canoes and having to, it felt like starting from scratch with the skill sets again. But that will just keep changing, and so we'll have new opportunities always coming as the kids are growing and becoming stronger and more able partners out there.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel that totally right now, especially in the toddler years when they change so much. And it's so inspiring to hear that you get to a point where they can paddle by themselves in the front.
Mm-hmm.
That's so, so cool.
And they want to do it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. How do you keep outdoor trips fun for the whole family? I know that sometimes it can be hard for us as adults to be like, oh, this is super fun for us too, or fun for the kids to stay warm, or different things like that. So how do you kind of keep everyone stoked?
Yeah. I think we just start off with like what we're excited to do and what we want to be doing, and then try to find this balance between, okay, what does that look like with fun and enjoyment and excitement and adventure, but also what's reasonable, and having reasonable expectations, because we want to set the kids up for success. There's always glitches that happen on adventures, but we want the experiences for them to not bring fear, and for them to step back. We want to empower them. And so creating opportunities where there is going to be growth and that they're minimize the risks. I think part of that is us learning. If we want to do something as a family, we will invest in the time to learn those skills so we can do it safe as a family. I was thinking of an example a couple years ago. We did sea kayaking in Haida Gwaii, and it was an 11-day trip. And we are mountain people. I don't know about tides and currents and animals, whales, what's safe out there. And so all winter long, we worked. Jeff took a course, ocean navigation course, just so we can read the maps. I took the kids diligently over to the pool for kayak sessions so we could practice wet exiting out of our kayak, and that was familiar to us. Getting wilderness first responders. So try to set us up for success. Yeah, let's go do something new and exciting, but let us put ourselves in a position where we're going to be able to make good decisions when we are out there. And then picking routes and opportunities that are within our wheelhouse as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow. How can you break it down a little bit about that trip and kind of share how you took the steps to kind of be ready for that ocean trip? Or you did a little bit about just that year, but I'd just be curious to know, you didn't jump right into a kayak trip, but you took the kids paddling when they were little. Could you share a few minutes about that?
Yeah, I mean, we invested with the kids in paddling right from the get-go. Jasper wasn't even a year old, and we did a canoe loop that was multi-days and a really regrettable portage with another couple. And so, lots of work, but and then as that was just like a 4-day trip. And so you have to start somewhere. And so over the years, our trips have been getting longer. Food planning has become more complicated, with dehydrating food or having a longer menu and being more remote. Being familiar with longer camping and wildlife experiences. We've had a number of those. So just, start with small increments and get into a place where, you willing to chew on a bit more. I think that Haida Gwaii trip was incredible, and it felt way out of our element just being in that different ecosystem. We had talked to a variety of people to get the intel of where to go and what to do, and we built into our plan a real buffer, weather buffer, if there's some equipment buffer. For example, we were all in double kayaks. Sometimes, well, actually quite often, the little ones would all fall asleep in the afternoon, and so we were just paddling by ourselves. And so setting us up for team situations where we could support each other when things don't, we don't have big expectations, long days, have fun and exploration all built into part of the trip.
And just for context, how old were your kids at that time?
9 and 11.
Okay.
And we had, so a lot of our trips involve going with other people. And I think that's a part of building success and finding your people, your community. When we started doing these kind of outdoor adventures, we had a couple other couples that we would go with. And I think picking those other people that you want to be with, that's important. What other skill sets do they have that they bring to the table? And that so you can work as a team and just not always just have to rely on Jeff and I. We have done trips where it's just Jeff and I, and the kids were very small. And that has been more challenging, but building it up as a team is more successful. As of late, we've been going with 2 other families. So on the Haida Gwaii trip, there was another girl who was just 7 and another girl that was 11. So having all these other kids that they can play with, this variety of ages, and it just helps all the parents be able to help parent with the kids and switch on and off, because running a camp takes time and energy. And just having a community that you do this with is just going to just build on those opportunities and just being just as a family group.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like when I had kids, I had that desire and need for more community, and I'm so thankful for the people that have come around. And just it's so hard, and it's a big load if we are doing it alone, and just there's so many people out there with the skills in day-to-day life and for these big trips that make it so much more possible. So I'm so thankful, and that's just such a beautiful point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Your kids have done these incredible trips and adventures. Would you share some of the things that you've seen them learn over the time of being in the outdoors?
Yeah, I mean, yes, they are amazing adventures, but it's also just part of our life. And so I don't put it on any pedestal. It's just what we like to do. And I had an opportunity to ask the kids this past weekend, what you're doing, is it different than your friends, what they are doing? And the family's like, oh yeah, it is. Their friends are not going on these kind of trips and these opportunities. But I think that be it outdoor adventures or just challenging them in sports or academics or whatever they're doing in their community, there's opportunities for growth. And we just have embraced this outdoor avenue as a family. And I do see that when we are out there, the kids are they are learning. They're learning to do hard things, and when there's adversity that they have to challenge themselves, I see that it really builds us as a family network together. We're in a place where there's no distractions, no cell phone service or that type of thing. And so we really bond together. And those are really special memories because we have to work together as a family unit. And it's just all on us to make it happen. I think that this past summer we did a trip up in northern BC, and we had planned for what our expectations were going to be, the good and the bad. And bad being like the bugs or the portages and some of these hard things. And so we didn't surprise them with that. We knew what was coming, these hard things, and that they could plan for what that was going to look like. And then they did it, and they feel so accomplished when I hear them talking about what we did over the summer. Often the trips that we come up with are highlights, and I want them to be proud about that, and something that our family can look back on and just have good memories, that we were able to do that together as a family.
That's so cool. I love that you chatted that through before even going on that trip. This is going to be hard. There's going to be lots of bugs. We're going to do it together.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly. Yeah, I want to set them up for success if possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they always like going outside?
Um, I would say yes. I mean, even today, there's a bit of snow outside, and they're already looking out the window, wondering, oh, is it going to be a snow day? I mean, it wasn't that much snow, but being outside has always been a part of what we would do. When the kids were really young, I remember those days when you're inside the house and you feel like the walls are closing in, and maybe you're the only adult around. Just going outside, even though it's a lot of effort, would always just switch the mood. You couldn't stop it. And so there is this, it's effort to do it, but there was never a regret in going outside. It might look different than you thought it might be, but you would never regret pushing yourself to do it.
Yeah, I feel that right now.
Yeah.
That speaks to me in this season. If you're looking to hit your protein goals, balance your blood sugar levels, and energize your day, I have just the recipes for you. I have compiled the top high protein snack recipes from my food blog into a mini e-cookbook. They're easy to make with whole food ingredients. Many of the recipes include nuts, hemp hearts, or eggs as the main source of protein. To get this free ebook, go to besidethemountain.com/protein-ebook or check out the show notes below. So other mothers listening that want to go outside more or start to do bigger trips and do more adventuring, what would you say to them? What encouragement do you have to give them, Jenice?
I think it's okay to dream big and think about what you want to do, what some goals that you want to work towards, but then figuring out how you can get to that goal, and start small and be gracious with yourself, with the small victories that you accomplish. And don't be afraid to learn. If we're going to be taking our families out there, I think it's important that we get the skills for whatever task or direction that we're going to go, and because it's great to be learning. There's so many good courses and first aid, and I think it's good to build those building blocks, even small at a time, and work towards those bigger goals because they're achievable if you want to do it. And then the other thing is, we touched a bit about this already, Danica, talking about finding your community, but finding your people that are going to inspire you and that they're going to help you maybe watch the kids while you pack up the tent, or vice versa, or are excited about learning new skills with you. Some of these courses that I've done, they're not even with the people that are going on these trips, but they're just excited to learn with you, and so they can even inspire you towards your bigger goal of what you want to do with your family. Yeah, so finding your community, I think, is really valuable. And then you're going to encourage them, and it's going to be back and forth as well.
So good. And I really hear you say in the first part of kind of make that goal and then work backwards and kind of see
Yeah.
what are the things that we can do to work towards that. And it's such small steps. And I think about how for me it was starting to take my kids outside every day, even if it was 5 minutes, and then it's turned into these bigger trips. But it started with those really, really small increments, and then going to do the wilderness first aid, and going with people who know or have more expertise that are willing to kind of teach you along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, and finding those people that are gracious and patient, that's amazing to kind of build your community with people like that. And then you can share that back with them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Do you have any routines or traditions with your outdoor trips that makes them special for you and your family? I'd be curious to hear about that.
Yeah. I think that our trip planning happens throughout the year. If we're working towards a bigger trip, we tend to have some family vision boards that kind of just hang out on the dining room table and get moved to a wall or over, depending on what kind of planning we are doing at that time. On these, I'm thinking about the one that we did last year. We had a map of where we were going, kind of a plan for the day as it moved through, and some of the things that we were going, the good things and the hard things. And it was something that was in our face the whole year, and that the kids could be aware of what's coming on and help with the planning. Lots of questions of like, how many portages or how many kilometers and where are we exactly going, to really understand and be part of the trip planning. When the kids were really young, their job was just to make the snack bags for the trip. So we still do this. So we have like a Ziploc bag, 1 to 10 or whatever, how long the trip is. And so we plan that every day there's a new bag of treats or dried fruit or whatever it's going to be, and they are helping to plan that, and that seems to be giving them a lot of joy to have a new snack bag every day that they're working through as they're on the canoe or hiking or in their backpack. And now as they've gotten older, they help me with the trip food planning. When we do our trips, we do our own lunches, but whatever we're on a group with, we share breakfasts and suppers. And so it's a real community feel, and they will help with the planning of the food and the menu. And we've got a book of things that we've learned that works for us, and to help plan with the menu and doing the dehydrating. And so they really enjoy the trip food, because you're so hungry on these trips, and it's something that's familiar, and that's something that they can be a part of. And then I was thinking some of the unique things that we do. We always have a new book that we bring out that we find something that we've enjoyed in the tent that we are just going to be reading as a tent time, and that's just like a brand new family book. When the kids were young, we would have toys that, like little animal toys that they would, as soon as you get to a beach, the kids are out there and they have their shovels and they're building and creating, and always having quick access to these bag of their little build it toys. And now we have like our big shovel that comes with us, like our kind of our poop shovel, and but they'll use that and just build big things in the sand even now. And then I was thinking with like Haida Gwaii, we had a title book of all the different creatures, and now I'm noticing that the kids are are our guidebooks. And so they are reading these books as we're going and telling us about all the different things that we're seeing along the way. Yeah. And then that's been great because then they are connecting to the place and they're learning and then they're teaching us, which is even better.
That's so cool. So I have so many things to say from that. I love snacks. I'm very motivated by snacks too. So that's a beautiful way to hear that they get excited. But what was the book that you mentioned? Is that recipes or just trip planning? You had mentioned kind of you have a go-to.
I just have a binder full of all different recipes that I've thrown in, and then I always keep our menu of whatever we've done. That includes our food or the foods that our friends have done. And we have this big group menu, and so that those old menus with the date and the who was on the trip sits in this binder too. It's good for memories and then pulling out and then having quick access to ideas of things that have worked well for us.
I love that idea. That's so brilliant. So good. Yeah, and do you remember any of the books that you've read in the tent?
Um,
Any recommendations?
I think one of our favorites was Owl and the Family by Farley Mowat. That was a good one, just like a nice book that you can read on a canoe trip. That one stands out to me. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
lately we've been doing like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and those kind of things.
I love that idea. That's so good. I just read my kids the first chapter book, Charlotte's Web, and
Oh
I
yeah.
felt like that was a big milestone. And I was like, there's no pictures on this page, but there will be on the next page.
Yeah.
And it was such an exciting thing to do with them. So I look forward to that.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, we're going to wrap up here, but I have questions that I ask all my guests, Jenice. And so we kind of touched on it already, but is there any words of encouragement that you would like to give to moms who want to explore more?
Just do it and start small. And it's okay to have big dreams and be gracious with yourself. Things take time and energy and money and just the planning with people's schedules. So be gracious with yourself of where you want to be heading towards in your adventuring. And then just celebrate the small things. The the little wins that you get when you're outside with your kids every day, because even that is building resilience and character for both of you, and it's heading towards the right direction of where you want to be going.
Totally. I feel like sometimes it's like treading snow with going outside. Like it just feels heavy and like a lot of work and we're exhausted afterwards. And suddenly after we do that for a while, we can start running and the snow melts and it feels like we're soaring and we get more traction and the seasons change again. But and then it it keeps changing. But I do feel like that's so true. It's that it builds resilience and then it becomes easier.
And it's okay if it's cold or rainy or it's tick season, and just learn to accept those hard things as part of it and just adapt, like, and just it's important to have the right gear and the right expectation. So yeah, just be gracious with yourself.
Good. What's your favorite place that you've been to with your kids?
I think one trip that's always stands out to me is when we did the Stikine River, and that was a number of years ago. The kids were quite small, like 3 and 5 at that time, and I think that one stands out because it was our first big trip, big for remoteness and length of time, and it felt like an accomplishment. It felt like the door just opened up. Like, look at what we are able to do and what the kids are able to do. And we're doing it together. That trip was 11 days and we went along the Stikine River and it flowed into the ocean. We had a couple kilometer ocean crossing and we went into Alaska and then had to take like a jet boat all the way back up to the vehicle. And some highlights of that trip, that the very first night We were all getting tucked into our sleeping bags and doing bedtime stories when my friend, she's whispering in the tent, Code B, and she didn't want us to get the kids all aware and scared, but there was a sow grizzly and two adult cubs that were swimming across the river towards our camp the very first night. And so we had to get all the kids out and gather down by the beach, and we were watching the bear, and one kept trying to come in and out, and finally it circled around our camp, and we moved all of our tents right on the beach together, like circled the wagons, and slept like that all night. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a big trip. These bears, and what are we going to be doing, and what are we going to be seeing? And I don't think there was a beach later that whole trip that didn't have wolf tracks or bear tracks or cougar tracks on it. And we got to paddle among icebergs off of a calving glacier, and there was hot springs along the way. And I remember Jasper's like, I don't want to leave the hot springs. He was so sad and crying because it was so warm and comfortable. We had this beautiful place to ourselves, and along the way, fisher guy, he was doing commercial fishing. He gave us this huge steelhead trout that he had caught in his line. And then when we had to actually paddle across the ocean, the weather was really good. We had allowed a buffer for that, and we got into Wrangell, and people there knew that we were coming, and because we were talking to them for some advice beforehand, and they met us at the dock. And fishermen came, and they brought us all this smoked salmon, and the customs guy was there right away, and people in town the next couple of days would give us rides around if we needed. And we woke up one morning, and there was a cooler in front of our tent where someone else had brought some different halibut for us to enjoy that night. And I think all these things were just, we're doing it, and we're experiencing it, all these wonderful people and nature moments. And I think that's the trip that I'm going to always remember, because it felt like the store was open and opportunities, and it was just a wonderful time that we were able to work hard and get her done.
That is a beautiful trip. Wow. I'm so inspired hearing that story.
You got to do it.
I do want to do it now. Wow. All the fresh fish. Did you cook it over the fire?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was awesome. And there was so much fish we couldn't even eat it. There was some dogs in the group, and they got to enjoy the leftovers.
That's the thing why the animals were there. They wanted all the fish.
Yeah.
Probably not. They probably could get their own so easily. They didn't need your fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aww. Well, Jenice, thank you for chatting with me. This has been so fun. I am continually inspired by you. And I wanted to say also, I did, from that last point of you sharing about routines and traditions, and you having that board on your wall of the trip. And we came over for dinner a couple of weeks ago, and Jasper and Nora were showing me about their Portugal trip, and that was beautiful, right? Just beside the dinner table, and they were pointing to us what they were excited about. And I just thought that was so cool, just bringing it into like the dinner time conversation and getting them pumped about it. I think that's a huge part of these trips, is just, a huge success. I can see why that helps them be stoked and motivated and take ownership. And so, that's really beautiful. So have an amazing time on that trip. I think that you're leaving next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. And I think trips like that, it's not us planning it for the kids. We're planning it as a family together, which has been really great. And they're going to take a lot of ownership in it.
That's so cool. I'm so excited for you guys, because this is something kind of for you guys that is going to be new, from my understanding.
Yeah. I feel like we are always taking opportunities to have outdoor adventures, and we thought, why not? We'll do something like this instead. Yeah, always trying something different.
I love it. I can't wait to hear about it. Okay, how can we follow along, Jenice? Are you going to share photos? Are you going to, is there anything, maybe share about how we can get your kombucha?
Yeah, so on the side, I have a kombucha company called Steep Peak Kombucha, and so try to inspire people to get outside. And so we're on Instagram. You can follow us on the gram.
Amazing. Thank you, Jenice. Have an amazing day.
Thanks. Bye, Danica.
Thanks for listening along to my chat with Jenice today. I hope that left you encouraged. I was so inspired by all she had to share with us. You will find so many good things that we mentioned in the show notes, as well as a link to the Facebook group where we all connect, share about our trips, maybe switch gear, find partners to go on adventures with. So I want you to check that out. A free way to love on this podcast is to quickly give it a star rating, a review. Send this episode to a friend that you know would be inspired, encouraged, and it would just speak to them. That would mean the world to me and be like a huge hug as I'm getting this podcast out into the world and for people to know that it exists. I hope you have an amazing day, and whatever going outside looks like for you today, I hope it's beautiful.